58,
No,
that's on the line.
I'm sorry, that's not what you
Down the
said.
way to 6
Said he's ready.
That's not what he
Actually,
said
where
to
6
say.
comes into 28. All set, Bob. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting of March 31st, 2015. We went into executive session. We come out. We'll do the roll call again anyways.
All right, 4 selectmen present, as well as the town administrator.
Okay.
Next is announcements. Mr. Titlebaum.
Actually, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to change what we normally do in life here. Mrs. Whiteside made a suggestion, which I thought was quite nice, that we really should be pledging allegiance to the flag at our meetings.
Oh.
So we will get up and do that. Mrs. Whiteside will lead the first one that we do.
Come on.
Remember it?
Of course. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all.
All right, forgot about that. All right, next is announcements. Mr. Titlebaum.
2, next week at this time, the election will be wrapping up, more or less, so get out and vote. On the following week, Tuesday, the 14th, out at the new Marriott at 8:30, the Beach and Tourism Advisory Committee is holding sort of a symposium, if you will, hoping to attract the local businesses, get them involved in the promotion of tourism in the town. We'll have more about that over the next couple of weeks.
Mr. Whiteside.
Thank you. A couple of things. One of them is that, as you can see, there's some improved artwork around this room. We're not quite done. The color pictures are all the product of Grumpy Conway, the brother of our moderator, Claire Smith. I had the pleasure of going through 400 pictures or something like that. And we have picked out some. Mr. Slavin and his wife and I were, we had a tough time hanging things, and of course you can't hammer into blackboards. Well, you can, but you know what happens to you. They're probably historic material or something. So there will be a few more pictures hung there, and I just want to say that I really appreciate the fact that you guys let me do my clean-ups around town. This is part of making Wareham look nicer. Second thing is that when I went to the Veterans Council meeting last Thursday, I asked the Veterans Council chair, Mr. White, why we didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance in the Selectmen's meetings anymore, because we did the first 2 times that I served. And he said, I don't know, why don't you? So that's what we're going to be doing from now on. Do it every day in school. Done it most of my life in work. I think it's something that we owe to our country. Thanks.
Patrick?
No, I'm all set, so yeah,
All right.
you're up.
I'll read off. We have starting tomorrow from Rochester to Wareham on Route 28. It will start at Route 58 basically and go down to approximately where Route 6 joins Route 28 on Cranberry Highway. They'll be repaving and resurfacing the road. Asphalt pavement will be micro-milling of the roadway to a depth of 2 inches and resurfacing the roadway. Reconstruction of existing asphalt sidewalks where needed. Field design reconstruction of wheelchair ramps and driveway aprons by the contractor. Cleaning of existing drainage structures, that's MS4 stuff. Adjusting or rebuilding existing drainage and sanitary structures. Installation of drainage structures, replacing all existing catch basins, frames, and grates with hook lock type castings. Placement of loam barrow on seed or paving, milling, mulch for shoulders. Selective clearing and thinning at the edge of the roads as needed. Installation of 2 CCTV cameras and equipment. And application of thermoplastic pavement markings and installation of slotted pavement markers. Other incidental work to be complete. The work will not go the area basically from where Walmart is locating down to where 195 and Route 25. All that work has already been done before. That's all I have. I have nothing else today.
All right, next up, citizens' participation. Anyone here to see us tonight? Ms. Moderator, come on up.
Good evening. I just wanted to give you an update. We had the Southeast Mass Moderators meeting here in Wareham a few weeks ago, and we had about 22 towns represented of moderators that came, so I want to thank you for allowing me to have them here. The whole subject was about electronic voting, and we went into very deep detail about electronic voting, and right down to the point where the Elvis Committee from Wayland actually did studies on, is there any impact to anybody in the audience that might have a pacemaker? And right down to the bits and bytes of the computer programming and security issues. So it's coming. I know Wareham's not in a position to move forward with it soon, but I'd like to invite you, if you'd like to go and see it in action on Monday night. The town of Wayland, who has really done a lot of work and has really progressed far beyond where we can even imagine. They're having their town meeting on Monday night, and I'd be very happy if anybody wants to go and see how it works, see it in action. I think over the next year and a half, we should think about putting together a study committee so that when we are in a position of doing electronic voting, if that's something that the voters wish to do, we will be ready to move forward with it. So Monday night, Wayland has their town meeting. The town of Duxbury just voted it in at their town meeting a week ago, overwhelmingly supported it. I did speak to the Wareham Fire District Prudential Committee, although they're very interested in it. When their meeting only lasts 20 minutes, it's really not something that they probably would have a need for. They embraced it, think it would be a good idea, but for 20 minutes, it's not worth the expense at this point. But I really would like to encourage you to take an interest in it, and if anyone wants to go Monday night, I'd be happy to go with you and let them know that we're coming and you can see it actually happening. The other thing I'm a little bit concerned about is we're going to have 4 openings on the Finance Committee. I have not seen any applications. I've tried to reach out to people, haven't been very successful, so I want to take the opportunity tonight to ask people that might be watching the meeting to think about stepping up. We may even have a 5th opening. So the Finance Committee really is looking for some people. There's an opening on capital planning. There's an opening on the planning board. So I would like to appeal. I mean, we have such a rich community of talented people, and I just want to ask, people to get involved and step up.
Thank you.
This coming Monday night, Claire?
Monday night in Wayland, 7:30.
So that would be April 6th.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you'll find it very fascinating if someone wanted to go.
Yeah, I believe on the planning board, they have an associate opening. They have 5 full-time members there now.
Right, yes.
And
Planning board, capital planning.
Capital planning, I think, has 1 at
They
large.
have one at large.
Great.
So,
Thank you, Claire.
Anyone else here to speak to the board this evening? Come on down, ma'am. What? Oh, we'll have to do that.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of my sister Susan Levangie, and it was for a bench for Ryan Levangie on the pier, and she has spoken with Mary Healy and a few other people, and said that I need to come here to represent her for Ryan's bench, so I'm not sure.
We actually have
You're
you
on the
on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
We'll be getting to it
Okay, I
All right.
didn't know
Yep.
how this works.
very quickly.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Anyone else here during citizens' participation? Seeing none, we'll move on. I have no appointments this evening, and next up would be the, we'll do WCTV, not that, the
Coffee hour.
coffee hour, Bob's coffee hour. Why don't you?
Bob, who do you
Bob.
have Thursday?
There's a couple of candidates for office,
What office?
school board and deputy moderator.
Deputy moderator and school committee.
Which school committee member, Bob?
It's not Jeff, it's not,
All right.
Judy Capariccio and Joe Ashley would be at the Agawam Village Hall.
I'll just go ahead and do it. Basically, Mr. White does a Thursday morning breakfast, providing coffee and donuts. Always likes that people bring some donuts as well as his own. It's at the Agawam Community Center at the Agawam Village Senior Center. And there'll be Mrs. Capriccio, who's running for the school department, and Joe Ashley, who's running for the associate moderator.
We're gonna do that right after.
And that's at 9 o'clock in the morning. Anything else that we missed?
We're gonna
Nope.
do that.
Okay.
We'll do it right after this. Just take 2 seconds.
Yeah, let's take care of the,
All right, next up
Why?
is the application by Gleason Family YMCA, 33 Charge Pond Road, for use of town roads for their annual 5K road race. I believe no one's here, so I move we grant permission to Gleason Family YMCA of 33 Charge Pond Road, Wareham, Mass., for the use of town roads for their 12th annual 5K road race through the village of Onset on Saturday, May 16, 2015, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Second.
any questions from the board? All the paperwork is here for the different departments.
It's all here, yeah.
None heard? We have a motion?
Yes, and a
Second.
second.
Motion
Yes.
by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
All right, next up,
400.
we're gonna move to the memorial bench. So,
Why don't you come up
Yes,
to the
if you-
table,
if you
please?
come back up,
now you can come up, the
thanks.
people for Ryan.
If you want all three of you, can come up
Yes.
if you'd like.
And could you identify yourself
Um,
when you sit down into the mic? Thank you.
I'm Mary Gonski, I'm Susan Levangy's sister.
Mhm.
I'm Jacqueline Levangie, I'm Ryan's sister. I'm Ashley Chiappa, I'm Ryan's cousin.
Susan actually did get a hold of us to say that you'd be coming, because she couldn't make it.
Yeah, she's in Arizona, she lives in
Yeah,
Arizona.
if you just want to explain what it is we're doing, so people will know what it is.
A bench and memorial for Ryan on the pier. And it's going to say, "Rest easy, my friends," and underneath that it would say Ryan Levangie under it.
They've got all the paperwork from Mary, and I believe everything is in order, so if anyone have any questions at all,
I just have a comment.
go ahead.
He's one of the nicest kids that I ever met in the high school. He was I'm sorry.
She's just having a hard time.
So I think it's a great idea. I can see him laughing and sitting there, and so I'm very, very pleased that you guys and ladies would like to honor him this way.
Thank you. He was a beautiful soul.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Um,
Okay, they'll be doing this in conjunction with the municipal maintenance to make sure everything falls, so
It does.
I would ask someone for a motion, please.
to approve.
Motion, Mr. Tropiano, second.
Second.
Mrs. Whiteside.
Mhm.
Any questions of the board? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 400. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up will be the presentation by Mr. Dutch on the Upper Cape Regional Technical School budget. Yes, ma'am?
I also was here for a bench.
Oh, yes, I remember seeing that
Let me
2 weeks ago.
2 benches?
Yep,
Uh,
it was last week.
Wow.
Ask her to come forward.
Memorial bench, hold on. What's your name, ma'am?
Catherine Thomas,
Thomas, hold on.
In memory of?
in memory of, I want to put my father and my son.
That's Ryan. I don't have it in here.
We don't have it.
I don't have it in here.
It was on last week.
I only have the one for Susan that I had paperwork last week on.
I only have one, and I don't have any paperwork for the other one. Did you go,
Come up to the table,
Yeah, come
please.
on up.
I'm sorry.
did you fill out the paperwork at the town and all that?
I sent a letter. I spoke with Mary at the maintenance, and she sent me the list of what needed
Can you
to
have a
do.
seat?
I sent a letter to the,
Can you have a seat? And
Yes.
Yeah.
I sent a letter to the selectman's office.
I remember
I
seeing
have
it.
a copy of it here.
I remember seeing it.
I have a copy here. if you-
Could you bring that up for a minute,
Yep.
please? I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know why we don't have it. It's not in our file, which it should be.
I remember seeing it.
Good for the board.
Writing requesting authorization to donate a recreational park bench to the town. I would like to replace the bench at the entrance to the Onset Pier, which is on the right side of the lower part of the hill. I'd like to be able to dedicate it on Flag Day, June the 14th, This will be the 30th birthday of my son, who passed away 3 years ago. As a family, we have a lot of memories made at Onset, as my parents were residents at the time when my son was growing up. So apparently she spoke to Mary, and we just don't have the paperwork.
I think we had some paperwork.
We did
a
have
couple
some
weeks ago,
paperwork.
but
I remember
somehow it didn't
seeing it,
get into
yeah.
this.
And Mary also, when I spoke to her, she said that she wanted me to meet with the harbor master.
Right.
Because she said they wanted to
Right.
replace benches on the pier,
Right.
which I don't have a problem with, that's fine. That bench, and actually the bench at Squid Row, that's where my father used to fish. That bench is gone now. I think they took it down because it was deteriorated.
Yes.
So I have no problem if that is the bench that's, whatever the harbor master feels he needs to put them. You know, as long as it's in that area.
Okay.
The only
Go ahead.
question I would have is that I believe that the Veterans Council may be having some kind of celebration for Flag Day.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want it to detract from that, and I don't mean that to be rude in any way.
No.
Yeah, okay. So if you could,
Why don't you give her your information, since you'll be involved in that?
okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
She's the liaison to the
I'm
Veterans
having-
Council,
yeah,
so
I'm having one of those nights. I think that's wonderful. Do you have wording to go on it?
Yes, that's what I wasn't sure. They said they couldn't put in memory. I don't know if we can put in memory.
Well, it's on the list what you can do and what you
Okay,
can't.
it
Saw
didn't
on
say
the
that
sheet.
you couldn't.
So whatever's on the paperwork, and I'll take a look here. I know
I
I
don't
know they
think,
sent out a copy of it. Here it is
no,
here.
according to our policy, it doesn't discuss content. It just says pictures will not be allowed on the
Right,
benches or concrete pads. Commemorative plaque may be affixed to the bench. The size of the plaque should be no larger than 4 inches high by 8 inches wide.
Right.
I don't see anything on here that says that it couldn't be in memory of.
okay,
So it doesn't regulate content at all?
Typically,
Okay.
that's what they're mostly there for, so.
right.
Right.
Did they
Most
give you a
of them are.
copy of the policy?
Yes, I did, but I didn't, when I called, she told me that she didn't think they would allow them to have, they weren't doing the granite benches anymore, and that, you know, it had to be a certain criteria,
Yeah,
which I
well-
have, and I've looked at the companies, actually. There's actually one on the pier already, which is similar to the one I kind of picked out. So I know it's one that, you know, that falls into that category. It's just, like I said, the plaque, if I can put in memory, I wanted to put in memory of sitting on the dock of the bay with Joseph Thomas and his grandson Kyle Tickler.
Right.
That's fine.
I don't think that would be
I
any
don't think
problem with
there's
that
a
at all.
problem there at all.
Okay,
Yeah, it basically lists, if you look, I think it's the third policy from the bottom. Poetic statements may be worded into commemorative plaques. Such statements will be subject to prior approval by the board of the designee. So,
All right, move approval.
Second.
okay, thank
I'm
you
gonna
very
keep
much.
this letter.
motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Now I
400.
just contact them,
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
you'll work going forward with municipal
and,
maintenance.
and do I order that, or they order it? Do I order that directly from the company, do you know?
I think you have to.
You have to,
Okay.
because we,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I do
Pay
want it,
for it.
you know, I want it up for his birthday, as far as, it's not like we're having a big celebration. I'll be down here anyway on his birthday, because this is where we always were.
Okay.
So, yeah, you know, I would like to have it installed, if it's possible, before that day. So
Okay.
if the family comes down, at least they can see it.
You want to work with Mary, and then
Yeah.
Mary will
Yeah,
work with
at
you with the
municipal
harbor
maintenance.
master as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
for your
Thank you.
time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Presentation from the Upper Cape Regional Technical School. Dutch, come on.
Mr. Dutch. Not when I drive over, I should put it over his grass and put donut box on.
Welcome.
Whoops, sorry. Good evening, and thank you for inviting me. And I understand you're short on time, so I'll try to abbreviate this as much as possible.
We apologize for having you come twice to the town.
I understand
We're not able,
schedules.
we're not able to arrange a joint meeting. The FinCom basically gave us too late a date for it.
Understood, and again, not a concern. So I'll skip through some of this fairly quickly. Just want to mention the members of the Budget Subcommittee. Steve Chalk is the treasurer from the town of Sandwich. Mary Crook from the town of Bourne, Michael Deegan, also from Sandwich, and your own Dominic Camerano Jr. from the town of Wareham. As we develop the budget each year, we identify guiding principles that lead us down the path of deciding which items we need to incorporate and to what degree. Like any school system, we've got to implement the teaching and learning initiatives that are mandated by the state. These include the Massachusetts Common Core state standards, the new educator evaluation system, the new assessment system, which is PARC, and for career and technical education, we also need to track student progress in the competencies related to their technical program. We also look to sustain the existing curricular and extracurricular programs. Like the Wareham schools, we are required to provide the mandated services in special education and general education. As you'll see in this report, our enrollment is increasing, yet we've not added staff. Obviously, that has an impact on class size, and we are getting to the tipping point as it relates to class size. One of the things that we focus on is trying to maintain a reasonable class size. Thank you. And then finally, as I've mentioned regularly, we have a 45-year-old building that I think is very well maintained. We take a lot of pride in what we've been given, and the maintenance costs associated with that are fairly significant. We try to maintain what we have so that we don't incur the costs that's associated with deferred maintenance, which are always more costly. Some highlights of the budget as we move through this. The foundation budget represents a 4.428% increase from last year, and I'll get into some detail as to why that number is as it is. That budget represents no additional staffing, a nominal increase from the state of $20 per student in Chapter 70 revenue. We do have an enrollment increase. This year we have school choice students, which is something that we've not encountered in the past. Apparently, when a student, and I'll use Wareham as the example, when a student from Wareham goes to Taunton High School for school choice in a vocational program, Upper Cape Tech, as the regional vocational school that you're a member of, is responsible for the $5,000 cost for that student instead of the Wareham Public Schools. There are 4 students this year from the 5 towns that are attending vocational programs in comprehensive schools outside of the district. Judith, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Could you repeat that statement, please?
When a student from a member town goes to a comprehensive school district that is participating in school choice for a vocational program, the school choice cost is the burden of the regional school district.
And you mentioned $5,000.
That is the cost for a student for school choice. That's what we pay, and that's what you receive. If you have students in the town of Wareham coming to Wareham High School from Old Rochester or Bourne, you get $5,000 per student from that particular town.
Thank you.
Okay. Additionally, we were notified this past year of a state post-retirement obligation. Apparently, when the regional school district was formed in 1968, the school committee at that time agreed to pay for retirees' benefit as when the annuity expires. So employees, not teachers, secretaries, custodians, contribute to the state's retirement system, the municipal retirement system. Once the annuity portion of that expired, it was the obligation of the regional district to continue to pay that retirement benefit. The state didn't bill Upper Cape Tech for 45 years. They were audited and found out that they should have been billing us. They graciously agreed not to back bill us for 45 years, only for 3 years, as well as the obligation moving forward. We have not budgeted this year for the previous 3 years. We are hoping that legislation that's been filed on our behalf will be successful in forgiving those previous 3 years. as well as looking at alternatives because the cost on an annual basis is exorbitant in the long run because it will grow exponentially over time. It right now is $155,000 per year. So that's something that we're exploring, but it is in the FY16 budget for the FY15 bill that we will receive. And then finally, we're part of the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, and our health insurance rates went up by 10% this year, for the next year, I should say. These are per pupil costs. And I want to clarify this. So the number that you see on the right-hand side, the DESE profile, those are the per pupil costs for each of the towns. The number on the left-hand side is the amount that you are billed per pupil of our operating expense. It's not our per pupil cost. This is what the cost is to you to send a student to Upper Cape Tech. So you can see that for the town of Wareham, you're paying $11,115 per student to educate a student at Upper Cape Tech. So what are you getting for that $11,000? Well, we've been very successful. We have 100% of our students pass MCAS by the time they are in 12th grade. Our graduation rate is 96.8%. Our dropout rate is 0.3%, which represents one student. And 70% of our students go on to 2 or 4 year college in the past year. I would also, like to make you aware as you look at these numbers, the special ed population at Upper Cape Tech is approximately 24%, which is higher than most comprehensive school districts. So we're doing all of that, even given the two challenges, one being the population and the other being the fact that they're in academics only 50% of the time. Yes.
Can I just ask a question now, or do you want to wait to the end?
You can ask now.
Okay. Your MCAS would be your English, your math, and a science.
Yes, we do biology.
Okay. And they all pass?
By 12th grade.
By 12th grade?
Yes.
Okay. English is 10, and
English,
math is 10.
Yes, in English, we have 100% of our students pass in 10th grade. 93%, excuse me, pass in 10th grade. The others have to take the retest.
Okay.
In math, it's 82% pass the first time. And science, it's a different standard, and I don't know the rate specifically.
And then you said that, what did you say, 24% of your students are
Special education.
special education?
And that does not include 504s.
It does not include 504s.
Correct.
Thank you.
So in my trips around to different towns, there are many questions that come up, and it seems as though there's a lot of misperception and misconception. So I wanted to clarify some of those. Upper Cape Tech's per pupil expenditures, you can see, have increased over a 6-year period by 14.11%, while our enrollment has gone up 13%. And you'll see a graph shortly as to how that relates to the two relate to one another. When you look at the member towns, and by that I mean all 5 towns as an aggregate, the per pupil expenditure has increased by a low of 15.88% to a high of 28.39% in that same time frame. What's interesting is that the average decline in enrollment in that time frame is 17%. So you can see that I think we're being very cautious and practical with the resources. So here are the numbers for the 5 member towns, and you can see that Wareham, from FY12 to FY13, the most recent year for data, has gone up 14.62% per pupil. Upper Cape Tech has gone down 3% in that same time frame. Obviously, that's a factor of the increase in enrollment and the limited increase in our budget. If you look across the 5 towns over that time frame, that 6-year period, you can see what's happened. In Wareham in particular, the per pupil spending has gone up almost 25%, 24.5%. Upper Cape Tech has gone up 14.11%. Yes.
Your enrollment in that time frame has gone up?
Our enrollment
what
in that
percentage?
time frame has gone up.
By what percentage, please? Roughly?
I can tell you the number of, actually it was 13%.
13%?
Yes,
Okay, and your costs have gone up?
14.11%.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that everyone hears those numbers.
Okay. Net school spending. Again, net school spending is the dollar amount that we spend over foundation. Foundation is the minimum that the state believes is required to be, is sufficient for a school district. And there are very few school districts in the Commonwealth that are spending at foundation. Upper Cape Tech is above foundation, but at a lower average amount in comparison to the member towns. So let's take a look at the gross foundation budget and where the dollars go. For Upper Cape Tech, approximately 61% of the dollars go to instruction. If you look at your own town budget, your own school system budget, it's probably closer to 80%. That's the average for most school systems. Ours is lower because we're responsible, like all regional schools are, for fixed charges like health insurance, building insurance, some of the maintenance that would be on the town side rather than the school side. So I'm not going to read the other numbers. I think what's interesting is when you look at what we're asking for as a budgetary increase, $573,930, you see that only 29.7%, approximately 30% of the additional money we're asking for is going to instruction. The bulk of it, and it's cut off a little bit, is 45.6% is going to fixed charges. That's health insurance and the post-retiree benefits are eating up 45+% of the $573,000. This is a snapshot of the increase in percentage and the actual foundation budget historically over time. And you can see there have been some years where the increases have been significant as a percentage and others where they've been much less significant. Go ahead.
Okay, when you put a new roof on, for instance, is that one of the things that might bump that up, or do you bond
No.
those out, or?
A roof is not part of the foundation budget, it's
Okay.
on the capital side.
Okay, so, all right.
So this is the graph that I mentioned, and whether you look at the green or the red, which are the two budgets, either operating budget or foundation budget, comparing that to our enrollment, you can see that our enrollment has gone up more significantly than either of our budgets have. So it's a graphical analysis of the data that I've presented to this point. So that's going to bring us to the actual budget items. I'm going to go through most of these pretty quickly because most increases or decreases are insignificant as a percentage or a dollar amount. If there is some significance, I'll take some time and explain that for you. So on this page, there isn't anything that's too significant as a dollar amount. You can see it's about a $9,000 increase in the superintendent's office, and that's across salary, supplies, and all other expenses as well. So while it looks like a significant percent increase as a dollar amount, it's not very significant. Again, here, you don't see significant increases. I do want to point out the increase in The teaching line item at 1.95%. We've negotiated a 2% cost of living with all of our staff, teachers as well, and you see that the number is below 2%. In addition to those cost of living expenses, you also have step and column increases, which are reflected here, yet we're under 2%. A large part of that is that we've hired new staff as folks have retired at lower or have left voluntarily or involuntarily at lower salaries than the folks that they're replacing. That said, you can look at our professional development line item and you see that that goes up by a little over 8%, and that's because we have a lot of new staff. One of the things that is part of the teacher's contract is they get reimbursed for courses. So as we hire younger staff who are coming in with bachelor's degrees, or in the case of some of our technical teachers who are not required to have degrees, they begin to take courses to attain either a terminal degree for our bachelor degreed staff or the first degree for some of our technical teachers. You can see those are costs that we will incur. Ms. Whiteside?
And your per course credit reimbursement?
We limit it to...
Presuming they pass with a whatever?
The requirement is they've got to pass with a B- or better, and the reimbursement rate annually is the cost of one 3-credit course at UMass Boston, which is about $1,750.
Thank you.
Nothing too significant here. The general supplies are up 3.45%. Just the cost of copper alone and what's happening to that could be an explanation, not to mention all the other costs, the other supplies. As you look at student services and psychological services, nothing significant there. Again, within student services, let's look at the athletic program. You can see a 9% increase this year. Our hockey program is no longer cooperative with Mashpee. We have our own program, and that's part of what you're seeing here. Additionally, I was looking at the costs and trying to see why the costs have been creeping up as they have, and did some analysis. And what I found was that over a 3-year period, the number of students participating in athletics has gone from, I'll just do the last 2 years, from 37% of our student population to this year, 51% of our student population. So from 270 students to 380 some students, better than half of our population is participating in athletics. You see a similar sort of increase in student body activities, and that is primarily due to 2 factors. One is participation in Skills USA, and the other is in participation in the Future Farmers of America, FFA. What's happened is we've been very successful. Just as a comparison, over the last 3 years, again, a year ago we had 29 students medal at Skills USA districts. This year we had 41. So those 41 students now participate in states. If they win a gold at states, they go to nationals. So there's cost associated with students participating in those co-curricular activities. It's part of their curriculum, so it's not something that we can ask them to pay for. We do get some support from the PTO in sending our students purchasing materials for them. You may have seen recently the Ford AAA competition. Upper Cape Tech finished first within the state of Massachusetts and 6th nationally. We didn't pay for that, for them to attend that. They were sponsored by Colonial Ford in Plymouth. So we look for sponsorship where we have the ability to do so. Additionally, in talking about the success of Skills USA, 2 years ago we had 1 student obtain a gold medal first nationally, 1 silver, 1 bronze. Last year, 2 golds, 3 silvers, 3 bronze. So we continue to do better and better, and those are things to be proud of, even though there's a cost associated with them. You can see that our custodial costs have gone down slightly. Heating and utilities, we all know what's happening with the conversion of NSTAR to Eversource. We're seeing significant increases in our electric bills as a result of that. So we've budgeted for that in anticipation. Again, ground salaries, supplies, snow removal, it's a small dollar amount, even though the percentage is approaching 5%. Nothing significant here, so I'll quickly go through that. Employee benefits, as I mentioned, is up almost 11%. Health insurance, workers' compensation, unemployment benefits, and then the $155,000 for post-retirement benefits is within that line item as well. Our building insurance, as I mentioned, we're responsible to insure our own buildings as part of our budget. And then the school choice is now added into the fixed charges line as well. So that our total foundation budget is $12,961,736, which is a 4.42% increase. Let's look at the revenue. You can see that the revenue is up slightly for Chapter 78, $14,400. That's a result of the additional $20 per student. Our anticipated interest revenue is down slightly to $8,000. We no longer have any out-of-district students, so there is no deferred tuition any longer. Our municipal Medicaid, reimbursements for nursing services and some special ed services like psychological services is down to $5,000. And the school committee has voted to place $203,751 of excess and deficiency against the budget, which subsequently creates a discount of some sort, so that your net foundation is $9,821,085. Transportation, the transportation provided by the district is down $249,873. This again is a result of staffing changes. Our contract transportation is level funded, so that you see the total transportation cost is down about $23,000. Our anticipated transportation aid from the most recent cherry sheet is also down, unfortunately, closer to $26,000, so that the net transportation budget is $3,000 more than last year. The LPN program could be an expense. In reality, it is an asset. The subtotal of expenses for that program, $575,498. The students pay tuition, totaling $589,500, so that there's a profit of $14,000, which goes against the transportation costs, so that your net transportation is $302,000, a 0.634% increase.
How
Yes.
long a program is that LPM?
The LPN program is a 10-month program. It starts at the end of August, and they graduate in June.
And it is an LPN?
It is. They come out eligible to take the practical nursing test.
Thank you.
Yep. Capital, we've budgeted $129,395 for budget, capital budget. And just to give you an idea of what sorts of things go into capital budget for us, this past year we had a 40-year-old frame straightening machine in the collision repair program. It needed to be replaced, antiquated, not providing the training that our students would need to go into the workplace. To replace that was $79,000. We didn't buy that. We were able to get a grant that took care of that, but that gives you an idea of the costs of the equipment that are in many of our technical programs. This year we'll be replacing a steamer that's in the restaurant, and that's $40,000. So that $129,000 gets eaten up pretty quickly. The bond principal for the windows is $100,000. Our stabilization fund, which is for the wastewater treatment plant, we're looking for $100,000 to that account. And then the bond interest is down to $5,000. We did not bond the window project. We are still in a bond anticipation note, simply because the rate was so significant, so good, that made it worthwhile to not bond it. So the total capital budget is down by 0.39%.
Can-
Yes,
Sorry.
I can go back.
When you do building projects, are you eligible for state reimbursement?
We are. We can apply for MSBA funding. We are at a 43% reimbursement rate, so the towns would still have to do the 57, would pay 57%, and would have to vote unanimously across the 5 towns.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's take a look at enrollment and how the assessment comes to be for the town of Wareham. You can see what's happened to your enrollment over the last 3 years. It's fluctuated. You have 7 more students this year than you had last year. Last year you had 12 fewer than the year before. As you look at our enrollment, you can see that it's steadily increasing in a limited fashion. What all that means is, as we look at the operating budget, that determines what % of our operating budget Wareham is responsible for. So you can see this year you're responsible for 34.657% of our budget, which is up from last year by approximately a percentage point. The capital budget is calculated differently. The capital budget is based on the total enrollment across the 5 towns and the number of students in each town. That determines the percentage that you are responsible for of our capital budget. You can see as your enrollment has gone down in the town, for the town of Falmouth and Marion, their enrollment has gone up, so their responsibility for the capital costs have increased, while yours has gone down slightly over 2 years, about a percentage point. Interestingly, you can look at what's happening to enrollment across the 5 towns. You can see that there have been approximately 500 students lost across the 5 towns over the 3 years. Yes,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Where'd they go?
I think some of it, I don't know that all of it is attrition. I think it's just birth records. The numbers of children are decreasing. Because this includes all students who live in the town of Wareham. So whether they're going to a charter school, they go to Stang, wherever they may go, they're included in this count. So it's purely a demographic issue, people moving in and out of town potentially.
Mr. Dutch, excuse me, the 2,312, that's just for the kids that would be eligible to go to Upper Cape Cod? Or is that every student?
That's every student. It's grades 1 through 12.
Okay.
It does not include kindergarten.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so that's every student in the town of Wareham, grades 1 through 12.
Thank you.
And that number comes from your school department.
Or DESI?
Nope, school department. They send us the data.
Interesting.
So let's look at how the assessment comes about. I mentioned to you the foundation budget and the minimum contribution, or the minimum school spending. If you look at FY15, the town of Wareham was required to spend $20,719,958. Upper Cape Tech's student population represented 10.41% of the total number of students in Wareham. So we were eligible for 10.41% of that minimum. If you look at FY16, the state has set the minimum at $20,606,205, so it's gone down. But Upper Cape Tech's share of that smaller amount has gone up. So they're moving in opposite directions, and that's why you feel that push and pull a little bit more. As your enrollment goes down and our enrollment goes up, that has an impact on on that percentage. So let's look at the actual assessment. You can see the change in students from FY15 to 16. The state sets the minimum contribution at $2,235,194. That's based on your enrollment at Upper Cape Tech and your municipal revenue growth factors. So per capita income, property values, primarily, and then some other things to a limited effect. Your amount that's above the minimum, as determined by the regional agreement, which is $427,158, and then the net of the transportation and LPN, your portion of it is $101,655. So your operating assessment is $2.7 million approximately. Your capital assessment is $72,628. So your total assessment is $2,836,635. The total assessment last year was about $1,088,000 less. So you can see that this year's, $88,000 more. So your increase in assessment this year is 3.23. Your increase in enrollment is 2.88. Questions?
Mr. Titlebaum?
First off, thank you. It was very comprehensive, and it was an excellent breakdown in what your school's costs are and where the money goes. And it was also an explanation of the comparative analysis in the beginning was quite interesting for me. I have to commend you this time around for holding the cost down.
Thank you.
Mrs. Whiteside?
Hi.
I don't know how to read that smile.
Same way everybody else does. What is the percentage of the applications that are accepted on average, say for the past 5 years? In other words, you have 100 kids apply and only spaces for 75, whatever the figures are.
We accept about 190 to 200 students on an annual basis, and we have anywhere from 320 to 350 applicants.
Okay. How many vocational schools are there in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
29.
How many vocational?
Regional vocational schools, 29.
Is there?
There's a distinction that Plymouth, for example, has a vocational program. They've got as many vocational students in their school as we do at Upper Cape. So some comprehensive districts like Attleboro, Plymouth, Silver Lake have their own vocational programs.
Okay.
So there are 29 regional vocational schools.
And are vocational schools in the high school level more a New England thing than they are throughout the country? Because I'm thinking more of, go west of the Mississippi. There are a lot of high schools and there are a lot of vocational colleges there. Seems to be a trend that we're backing into.
There are a lot of different delivery models of vocational education across the country. Massachusetts is admittedly unique. I will tell you that in conversations I've had with folks from other states, Massachusetts is the envy of most other states. I'll use Ohio as an example. They use career centers. So a student goes through 9th and 10th grade in their town high school, and then they go to this career center for 10th and 11th grade. Throughout New England, it varies. Connecticut does it the same way we do. Maine doesn't. So in Maine, for example, they'll go to their high school for half a day and take math, English, science, history. And then at lunch, they'll go to the tech center for half a day. So they're being bused there. So there's a lot of different delivery models.
Okay. Do you have a purchasing cooperative?
We participate with Mass Higher Ed. We participate through the state buying, and we're also part of the National forget what the J stand, Joint Purchasing Alliance.
Could you give me a guesstimate as to what that might save you over a period of time? What kind of discounts are available?
It's hard for me to say. I can tell you, for example, we purchased a bus through the National Alliance, and it saved us. The bus was $82,000, and we had gotten quotes locally of $88,000.
Okay.
So less than 10%.
Okay. You have a grant writer?
We do.
One? More than one?
I have one grant writer who is on a percentage basis written right into the grant. So the only income she derives is through grants that we are awarded.
Thank you. How do, despite the fact that the Commonwealth obviously gave you a free ride for 42 years, and obviously you have contributed to the deficit in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Just teasing.
There are 9 of us who've done that, so.
Yeah. How have you kept your plant looking like it's not 45 years old? How come you are so smart? How come you did it? How come it works?
I don't think that we're that smart, other than utilizing what we have available to us. And I'll give you some examples. If you have a plumbing issue in the town of Wareham, you either have a staff member who you're paying or you call a plumber. We have 3 licensed plumbers on staff as teachers, who then send students out to do the plumbing work. So we save a great deal of money on many of the maintenance items, plumbing, electrical, all of that. Most of our landscaping, the grounds are maintained by our landscape horticulture students. So there's a lot of cost savings.
But you still have material costs.
We do. We do have material costs.
I mean, tell me what it costs to roof that building.
We have a 15-year-old roof, and it has a 13-year lifespan, so we're beyond its lifespan. We've already gotten prices at around $2 million.
Is it flat?
It's flat.
Yep.
What we want to replace it with is not flat. But we're at the beginning stages of that, and we are looking at alternatives to putting that cost on the towns.
Average size of the class? I know it's difficult because of your different disciplines, but...
Yeah, for the academic classes, we're 24 to 28.
Mm-hmm. And what is your most popular rotation or major?
I think there are probably 3 or 4 that are very popular and fill up with students beyond what's available. So there's more interest than we have seats in these 4 programs. I'd say culinary arts is very popular, information technology is very popular, health careers, and then our environmental technology program. Those are probably the 4 most popular.
In your Envirotech, do you work with Woods Hole?
We do.
Thank you. And now could you please boast about lunches? Or catering?
Our
or any?
restaurant.
Yes, please.
We are, again, one of the few technical school restaurants that are open virtually every day the school is open. There's a rotating menu. We are full to the point where we can only accept reservations, unfortunately. And just the quality of the food and the cost of that food. I mean, there's rarely an entree that's more than $6.95, and the portions are, again, more than you would anticipate for $6.95. And it's a great opportunity to interact with the students who are learning the trade. They take a great deal of pride in working with the community and the student and the adults who come up and participate. So it's a great experience, beautiful view. So take advantage of it if you have the opportunity, certainly.
When you say the community takes advantage of it?
We are open to the public.
Right. Do you have, are you maybe partnered with the Council on Aging or something like that?
We're not, I wouldn't say that we're partnered. On a regular basis, the Council on Aging in Wareham, Bourne, Falmouth, the Falmouth's Women's Club, This will not broadcast to the Lower Cape, so Dennis Council on Aging comes to Upper Cape, as do many other Lower Cape groups. Again, because of the opportunity and the cost is certainly beneficial. So we do work with a lot of those groups. Additionally, we host the Bourne Sandwich Rotary. The Canal Chamber meets at our school periodically. So there are a lot of different public organizations that meet at Upper Cape for their weekly and or monthly meetings.
That was what the smile was for.
Okay,
You've done a nice job. Thank you very much.
thank you, I appreciate it.
Mr. Tropiano?
All right, so, I have a son there, he's doing great, and he's loving every minute of it.
Good.
And that's kind of nice, which is a good thing. I get a chance to go in and out of the building all the time, obviously. I get a chance to go to all the different events and the things they put on, and you have a lot of nice stuff that you do. And you bring in people, the parents and things constantly, and that's nice too. And I must say, the condition of the building is incredibly good. 45 years old, a long time. But the building is incredibly good shape. Now, I know there's a little bit of an advantage on your side than the town side, and that is that, if you decide to do a capital issue, if X number of towns vote for it, everybody pays. So it happens.
Everybody has to vote for it.
Right.
It's all five have to agree.
All five agree?
For a capital,
for a capital,
improvement.
really?
Yes.
The budget is for.
I thought there was a percent, the budget is
The
four.
budget is
Okay.
4 out of 5.
All right, okay. So, it gives a little bit of an advantage, the way it's set up, than, say, the town side, because it's a little more adversarial, I think, on the town side versus whatever.
Well, the costs are spread out across 5
Yeah,
towns.
yeah, and you
which
got a
is
lot of
helpful.
spreading out and so
Yep.
on and so forth. But, I can't say enough of the job you guys do over there. You're on top of the kids all the time, you really are. Nothing gets by them, nothing. They are constantly on top of everybody, making sure things happen. And you do just a marvelous job there. And I had a son graduate from there many years ago. One of my older kids, he graduated from there. Culinary arts, in fact. I just love the job you do over there, and I can't say enough about what's going on. And I know that's a little personal because I have somebody in there, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you are doing a good job.
I appreciate it, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who hasn't in some way been, had contact with Upper Cape Tech. It's, we take pride in the fact that we're a part of the community. So I think it'd be hard for someone not to be in some way associated, either through their own child or a relative, somebody they know.
Yeah, I'm all set.
With the number of students you have to turn away, what are the long-term plans to increase capacity there?
We don't have plans to increase capacity to the degree of taking every student. We may on an with some additional construction of smaller outbuildings where we could move technical programs to those standalone buildings, increase enrollment by 25 students per grade. So at most, we might take 100 more students over a 4-year period. We're cognizant of the fact that we do something very specific. We provide students an alternative that's a career tech education. Many of the trades that our students go into require some post-secondary education now. There aren't too many things that you can go into that you can go straight from high school, with the exception of the licensed trades, plumbing, electrical, carpentry. So we recognize there's a need for a vibrant high school in each of our 5 towns, and it's not our intention to ever create a situation where we would take all those students and you wouldn't be able to afford students the opportunity to have, who don't want a trade, who want to go to college, know what they want, to not have that opportunity in their town high school. What I would like to try to do, and Superintendent Shaver-Hood and I have had conversations and hit a bit of a roadblock, but I think we're going to continue to work towards finding a solution to providing access to those students who want a career, a trade, that we can offer without them enrolling at Upper Cape Tech, because we don't want to be a drain on the system, to be honest. So I think there's some creative ways to go about doing that, and it's just going to take us sitting and trying to figure that out.
Do you know about how many Wareham students get rejected each year,
It's
average?
about 30. I've looked at
30?
the last 3 years, and it averages 30.
Okay, it's not bad. Well, I'm hoping your discussions with our school superintendent bear some fruit, because it's a worthwhile project at the end for the kids.
I would agree, and you know, we've had a great working relationship, and she's very open-minded and certainly creative, along with her staff. So I think it's something we'll be able to do it at some point in the future, particularly once the state can help us figure out the financial pieces of it, because ultimately it always comes down to costs and money.
Yes, it does. I noticed you said you're running about 10% increase in health insurance this year. Are you looking at any alternatives long-term? There are some less expensive plans out there.
Well, we're part of the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, and they kind of control the benefits. They are looking at alternatives to lower the costs long-term. Obviously, through the negotiation process, there may be an opportunity for us to lower our own individual cost as a school district, but that's still to be determined.
The other thing I thought was very informative, besides the percentages and all the breakouts, was that you had, I think it was 23% of, special ed, not including the 504s, which really, I think 23 the first time I did it. Second time. Doesn't matter, it's 1%.
It doesn't matter.
The bottom line is that, we've always heard that, Upper Cape always had the story that Upper Cape can cherry pick and whatever else, and to me, that number shows they're virtually the same that we have in our own school system, which really, I'm kind of amazed that you're able to control the cost with that much of a percentage. The other question I have, which is just internal for myself, does the school have its own purchasing agent?
We do not.
You do not, okay.
We're as you know, we're a small school district. We don't have a business manager. We don't have an HR department. I'm licensed as a business manager, so I assume that role. I fulfill the overarching human resource responsibilities. Obviously, there's staff who's responsible for the day-to-day sorts of things.
So you act as a procurement officer too?
I am the chief procurement officer as well.
Have no other questions? Anything else on the board?
No?
Thank you very much. We appreciate it and appreciate the job you do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate having me here.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Next.
going to go a little bit out of order. We have the warrant article, 4 of that. I'd like to take a motion on that.
So moved to approve.
Any questions?
And this is Article number 8 on the spring town meeting warrant, the regular town meeting.
Okay.
Second.
So, motion
No
to approve.
questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 400. Thank you, Mr. Dutch.
All right, so next up will be the presentation by Good Energy Electricity Aggregate.
We have been approached before through SERPET several times about aggregate purchasing of power, not for the town, but actually for the residents of the town, which I think from the SERPET information we had before would average $150 to $200 savings a year per resident if they participated in the SERPET program. This is a program which the town would have to basically vote to allow us to go ahead and offer it to them. So this is informational and basically initial inquiry to see what the interest in town is as we go along. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board, for allowing me to speak here tonight. I'm going to make my presentation brief. I had submitted a package of information to you before that gives a lot of the detail. Let me just give you a brief background about Good Energy. The company has been in business for 15 years. Originally started in the commercial and industrial area of aggregation of electricity. 2010, we got involved in the municipal aggregation side in a number of states that offer municipal aggregation, including Illinois, Ohio, and New Jersey. Last year, Good Energy saw an opportunity to come into the Massachusetts market. When they did that, they contacted me. I used to work for one of our competitors. Since coming into the market, we have been very successful in getting towns to understand the object of aggregation, basically bulk buying, the objects of which are better competitive choice, longer stability of the term, lower prices, and a greater percentage of green energy if the town wants it. The law that guides this process in Massachusetts is Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 164, Section 134A. When this law was written by the Senate President Stan Rosenberg, the object of the law was to give municipalities the opportunity to aggregate the electricity loads of their residents and businesses. The reason it was run through the town was because they envisioned that the best organizing body within any municipality is the governing body of the town. They also made the program an opt-out program, and the reason for that was to get the largest buying groups in the fastest time. Since coming into the market, we have won 2 very successful competitive bids. The one relevant here is obviously the SERPED bid. We competed against the 5 other organizations that are active in aggregation in Massachusetts, and we were chosen by an 8-member aggregation committee of SERPED made up of representatives from different towns. We were voted unanimously to be their representative. Since that time, there are 15 SERPED towns that have committed to do aggregation. Out of the 20 that are eligible, there are 7 towns in the SERPED region that are municipal light departments. So out of the 20 that are eligible, 15 have committed to this program. That covers over 150,000 households and about 450,000 residents. Essentially, again, our total objective here is long-term price stability, greater competitive advantage, lower prices, and again, which if the town wants a greater percentage of green energy in the mix than is currently required by the renewable portfolio standard here in Massachusetts, which this year is 10%. The process starts with a vote at town meeting by the residents to authorize the selectmen to research and develop a plan. Again, Good Energy does all the heavy lifting in this process. We go through the writing the plan, developing the plan with your approval. We go through a very strict review and approval by the Department of Energy Resources and the Department of Public Utilities. Once the plan is approved, it goes out to a competitive bid with the top competitive electricity suppliers in the country. And again, we sit on your side of the table. We are not connected with any of the suppliers. We basically do the best bid we can to get you the best terms to lower your electricity prices for your residents and businesses. The residents would continue to get a single bill from Eversource. The only difference on that bill is that one line that says who the supplier is. Everything else is the same. All of the service, the delivery, the transmission, the service of the infrastructure is still the responsibility of Eversource. Eversource is neutral in terms of who supplies the actual electricity, because essentially, since deregulation, they make their money based on the transmission, delivery, and infrastructure service. There's no cost to the town in this. There may be a little staff time involved, which is mostly decision-making. Essentially, Good Energy does all the heavy lifting. We are paid a 1 mil fee from the competitive supplier. So there's no out-of-pocket costs from the town. Essentially, we provide a very comprehensive public outreach and education program. So as we're going through the process of approval, we're also informing residents as to how this program works. After the bid is made, and again, once the meeting, the town meeting approves a plan, all that does, it doesn't commit the town to anything. You go through the whole plan on bid day. If you want to accept the bid, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. If we, our business model here and our confidence is that we can get you a much lower rate than you're getting from Eversource at this point. And again, that's our business model. Essentially, that's it in a nutshell. I'll open it up for questions.
Mr. Titlebaum?
Thank you for the presentation. From the time a town meeting vote to authorize this to go forward, how long does it typically take for the process to unfold and bring it to fruition?
Right now, the process can take 6 months or longer. We are working with the Department of Energy Resources and the Department of Public Utilities to streamline this process. We would like to get this under 90 days. One of the reasons for this process is because the Department of Public Utilities goes through a public hearing, goes through procedural conferences, allows the Attorney General to intervene and review the documents, can allow the Inspector General to intervene, the utility obviously can intervene to make sure that there is a consistency between their EDI and the EDI that might be from the competitive supplier that's chosen. So there's a tremendous amount of legal and technical coordination that goes on during this process. As I say, we're trying to get this down to 90 days, and because of the volume of interest in aggregation, since the rates have gone up, certainly DPU wants to get that process down as well. So we're hoping to get it down significantly from where it is now.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Whiteside?
Has absolutely nothing to do with your presentation, but where are you from originally? Texas?
I am from, let's see, I was born in the Bronx, New York.
No. You didn't live there very long.
I didn't. I left there when I was 7.
Okay.
Moved out to Huntington, Long Island. Was raised there until I entered the Marine Corps. Then I lived in California a while. I was overseas. Came back, lived on Long Island, and my late wife and I got a place up here 15 years ago in Conway, Massachusetts. Proud town of 1,902 people.
Thank you.
Wow,
You
our
don't
resident.
have a New York accent in any way.
Well, I certainly don't have a Brooklyn accent.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But no, you don't have a New York accent.
No New York accent, not
No.
at all.
No.
Well, I guess my neighbors beat it out of me while I was up here, because I live up here permanently now.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah, too.
Sorry.
Patrick?
Texas, huh? Fooled our linguist.
Is there anything else you want to know, where he buys his shoes or anything?
There's,
Texas.
you were here for the earlier Pick on Judy session, am I right?
I was here.
Yeah,
was
and you understand that I have managed to behave myself the entire evening.
So far.
Yeah, well,
The night is young.
You were doing okay. You want to smell?
Actually,
Hey, you want to smell a flag?
the pre-meeting session was quite enjoyable.
Thank you.
Always is. Good turn, Patrick.
All right, so I got to get my head around this for a minute. Okay, so right now, as a person receiving electricity in this community, I can choose right this minute where to get my electricity from.
Yes, you can.
There's a ton of companies out there trying to sell you their, we're lower, we're cheaper, we're this, we're that, and trying to do that. So if I can do that now, how does this help me?
One of the problems with what's happening now, and again, this started when the rates shot up, were announced by National Grid in September. There are a bunch of marketers that will call you on the phone, send you letters, offer you free things here and there. Some of those are legitimate, and they're good. Some of them are very unscrupulous. They will get you to come in to the program on a teaser rate, stay with that rate a month, 2 months, 3 months, then it goes up, and then there's if you want to get out of it, there's a high termination fee. But as I say, there are legitimate programs to do that, okay? What happens is that many people do not go into those programs because, again, you're still dealing on a one-on-one basis with that supplier. The objective of aggregation is, again, to take, we have now 15 towns who are committed with over 150,000 households. So we have that buying power together that any single individual doesn't have. And we can get lower rates because of that.
Okay, I guess I understand that. The more people in the pool, the more you can maybe negotiate the electricity.
Absolutely, yes.
But there gets to be a bottom anyway, because, there's so much to produce it, and you get to that point where it is what it is.
Yes.
And frankly, with the solar energy that's come online, a lot of that has raised the cost of energy in general, because it costs more money to produce than electricity produced, say, by coal or some other method.
Yes.
So it's caused the cost of energy to go up overall. I think that's one of the reasons why the 30% increase has taken place, because of these different technologies that are more costly.
Well,
Wind, so on and so forth.
a large part of the increase is due to the shortage of natural gas coming into Massachusetts. Over the last 10, 15 years, Massachusetts has retired a lot of the older coal and oil plants and have either built new natural gas plants or converted those older plants.
Cogeneration plants.
Exactly. The problem is there isn't enough gas coming into the region. And in the wintertime, what happens is the priority goes to those people who heat with natural gas.
Right.
Whatever is left over from that top slice goes for the generation of electricity. And we saw it last year, we're certainly seeing it this year, that there has been a shortage. And what happens is then you have to go and fire up those old coal plants, which are more expensive to run than the natural gas plants. And obviously they cause more pollution than that natural gas plants. So essentially we have this shortage that's going to continue until one of the pipelines that's proposed is built. And that's going to take at least 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, right. Okay, so now let's say that we selectmen say, okay, well, go ahead, see what you can get our residents the best rate. And you come back with this rate. And so now you have this big pool, and you went to this guy and you said, okay, we've got this pool of people, and we want to negotiate this rate, and it's, say, 30% less, whatever, okay? Just throwing a number out.
Sure.
And so now everybody who's in town can buy into this program, basically, or get into this program. They don't have to get into the program. They can continue to stay where they are.
Correct.
Essentially, the way the program is run, it's an opt-out program. So anyone in town who's on the basic rate
Right.
of the default utility, Eversource,
Okay.
would come into the program
Automatically.
automatically. Okay, and again, there's a lot of public outreach and education before that happens, so
That's the
people
part
know what's happening.
I'm a little concerned about,
Okay.
because some people may say, I don't wanna be, I wanna
They can
stay.
opt out.
Well, again, anybody who has chosen a competitive supplier would not be included in that, okay?
Okay.
And again, if someone wants to opt out, they can opt out at any time without penalty.
Okay,
But again, what we, our business model and our confidence is that we can get a better rate and keep everybody in that program, or at least, 95, 97% of the people.
well, that's how you make your money, so,
Exactly, sure.
okay, all right,
If
that's what I was trying to find out. So they mandatorily come over to our program, and they have to opt out.
Yes.
I see,
But
okay.
again, they are given a lot of information and a comparison in the initial period that tells them, okay, the local utility is X, we're Y, or we're X minus 3, or whatever, okay? And they have a choice at that time. They just sign a postcard, send it in, if they want to opt out. But again, we have a very, very high rate of people who stay in, all right? We have over 150 successful aggregations. We've never lost a client, okay? We've saved people in the last 4 years over $100 million.
It's a few dollars.
It's, that's essential, we have to produce. That's our business model.
That's a few bucks. All right, thank you, appreciate it.
This program actually has been worked on for about 2 years now. Ross Perry from Serpent is the point person at Serpent for this. We've talked about it before, he and I, during a lot of the meetings that we are at together. The first run is already in place and running. We would, if the town decided to do it, we would be on like what we call a second group going in. The biggest problem I had initially with it was that there was a savings, but because they finally came up with the opt-out program, it really took away all the negativity of why people may not want to be involved in the first place. They basically have a choice. They could be in for a month if they wanted to and then say, no, I don't want to be it. Or they could be out before it starts. Or they could be in 6 months and decide something happens to change. So the risk to the residents is really zero. And the savings, I think, conservative number is $150 to $200 a year to the average resident savings. It's not a huge amount, but it is a savings. And every time we turn around with the alternative energy, which is either underwritten by our tax money, for solar and wind power, and also the power companies have to buy X number of kilowatts of all this power as well. The cost is just going to keep going up. The studies are all out there. Energy's not going down in price, energy's going up. And again, it's up to the residents, but I think it's something that we really should at least look at and maybe consider doing an article for fall town meeting and see if the residents want to do it or not. It's at the end of the day, it's their call, because they would come in and vote on it.
Absolutely. It starts with the vote of the residents.
And if there's enough, if we do proper outreach so everybody understands, which is one of the problems that we don't do well, I don't see any problem with at least looking into this.
We have been through 14 town meetings and a number of city council meetings. But in the town meetings, we've had, out of the 14, we've had 11 unanimous votes, and we've had 3 where there was some very minor opposition. Because people understand the idea of bulk buying to save money.
Actually, I'd like the town administrator to speak, because he's going to have to be heavily involved anyways.
No, one of the questions I have is, you were just talking about outreach, it's a good one, but Eversource, what, if we were, let's say town meeting approved it, what's the outreach to the consumers? Because believe it or not, some people may not watch our selectmen meetings, read the papers.
Really missing out.
Yeah, so is there mailings that go out and such, or?
Before town meeting, we can do public meetings for people to attend. We normally attend town meetings, and in some we do a presentation, some we do just answering questions depending upon what the board wants or the moderator wants at that town meeting. We can do anything that you feel comfortable with to let your residents know what this is about.
Yeah, so after, if it were adopted, do they receive any notifications that they would see a change in their bill or anything like that?
Well, after we go through the approval process, and toward the end of that approval process, we start to do outreach to them to let them know that the plan is near approval and, what the plan is about. And once it is approved and it goes out to bid and we get a solid bid from a competitive supplier, then we let them know that too, in terms of, here's the, the starting gun sounds now. We're starting the program, and you have initially 30 days to opt out of the program, but essentially you can opt out at any time after that without
Okay.
penalty.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
And
Can I just ask, I'm sorry,
We'll be in
I wasn't
touch.
here I was trying to wheel and deal in the hallway. These guys wheel and deal in the, why? What are your energy sources? What, your power sources?
We deal with the largest power suppliers in the country.
Okay, and can you name the 15 towns in Massachusetts?
The 15 towns that
Or the-
Serpent.
that are in the program,
Yep.
that have committed to us now?
Yes, please.
We've got Acushnet, Dartmouth, Dayton, Fairhaven, Fall River, Freetown, New Bedford, Norton, Plainville, Rehoboth, Seekonk, Somerset, Swansea, and we're right on the verge with Attleboro and Carver.
Thank you.
These are, again, the Serpent community is about 28 communities in total.
So, and it's,
And what it is you have, I think, 7 or 8 of the communities have municipal light power, which
Right.
makes them
Well,
ineligible
Attleboro
for
does.
this.
The what?
Attleboro has its
Attleboro
own power
is-
company.
No, North.
North Attleboro.
Okay, sorry.
So that makes them, and I believe also this program doesn't, actually, the towns don't buy, it's not available to the town, only to the residents and business also.
Well, it could be available to the town.
But it normally, so
if-
far, has not been
but-
presented
but-
that way.
Normally, we may be able to get the town a separate rate. It depends, on what happens at the time of bid.
Okay. I know initially the one with Serpent was going to be for the residents and businesses.
Essentially, yes. But if, for some reason, a town wanted to participate with its municipal accounts, that's a possibility.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
All right, next up, vote on the new contract with Comcast. Peter, you want to read that?
Yeah, well, just first, by way of background, the Cable Advisory Committee and Comcast have negotiated a new contract. There is some minor change to the language in there. The person who negotiated with us for contract is not the person at Comcast who was authorized to approve the contract on their end. She is waiting for her superior to return from some sort of family leave matter. So the normal routine here is to issue a preliminary denial of their application. This buys a month's time to get it done. We anticipate that we will have the approval from Comcast by the time we meet on the 14th, and we will go from there. So what I'd like to do is move that we do the preliminary denial of the contract, and this keeps it going for another 30 days. Our council will notify the Department of Telecommunications and all the relevant parties that this has happened, so that they're not scratching their heads saying, what the heck's going on in Wareham on April Fools? We don't know, so that's pretty much the process here.
I'll second your motion.
I have to read it.
Oh,
Just before you
you
read
just said you
it,
did.
just so everybody understands, the denial doesn't mean that Comcast is not going to have service in Wareham for 30 days. It means that everything stays as it is, and there's a 30-day extension.
Right, it's a grace period to allow us to get this thing done, which again, it substantially is. We're just waiting for Comcast to make the final approval for a few small changes in the contract, which we don't believe are going to be any problem.
Take the motion now, please.
Okay, I move Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen as cable television licensing issuing authority. Preliminary assessment that the cable television renewal license of Comcast of Massachusetts 1, Inc. should not be renewed pursuant to Section 626C of the Cable Act, March 31st, 2115. Whereas the Town of Wareham, Town, is desirous of completing a cable television renewal license pursuant to the informal licensing process set out in Section 626H of the Cable Act to be issued by the Town to Comcast. Whereas Comcast and the town have engaged in a diligent license negotiation process, and Whereas the Board of Selectmen as cable television issuing authority deems it prudent to protect the interests of all parties, including the town, Comcast, and the public, with respect to the formal license renewal process. Now therefore, because a renewal license has not yet been finalized and issued by the town, and in order to protect the interests of all relevant parties, as the town and Comcast work to expeditiously finalize a renewal license, the Board of Selectmen votes pursuant to Section 626C1 of the Cable Act, this preliminary assessment that the cable television license of Comcast Massachusetts 1, Inc. should not be renewed. Board of Selectmen, Town of Wareham, Alan H. Slavin, Chairman, Patrick G. Tropiano, Clerk, Stephen M. Holmes, Peter W. Titlebaum, Judith Whiteside.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Questions? I just have one. We have a contract as printed here. Will this change at all?
To my knowledge, you have the latest and greatest version.
Right.
It should not change substantially at all.
If it's going to change at all, we need to have copies before we vote.
That's correct.
Please, just so.
Well, we're going
Make a
to
note of
be
that.
executing it, so we will have the final version to vote on.
But before we vote on it.
Yes, before we vote.
Oh, okay.
It's not the current.
Right.
I got called.
I didn't know whether that had been provided to you as the latest or not.
Well, I have
Okay.
one there.
The old ones, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Vote.
All right.
And just so people understand, the changes relate to locations of video return, and there was one other minor issue.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're,
It's house, not what's.
Yeah,
Gonna be changed.
it's fine, we'll just make sure we have the latest version.
right?
No other questions heard?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400, thank you.
Next, continue in vote on regular and special town meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna go down the
warrant
line.
articles.
I'll go down the line and I'll ask Mr. Sullivan, because we're waiting. On special town meeting line item transfer, are we still holding on that?
Yes. Yes.
Capital plan,
Yes.
health insurance trust fund,
Yes.
OPEB,
Yes.
police union is yes.
Yes.
And
Junk deal.
we have the amendment to the junk dealer bylaw. I don't have a vote on that. Did we not do that?
No,
We haven't done that
We
yet,
haven't
but
done the
where we have the primary proponent of this isn't here, I think it would behoove us to wait until next week if we are going to have a meeting.
Yeah, I do have, just so the board knows, I still have concerns, as I've mentioned before, on this, strictly because of what junk is, even though we have something in our bylaws and stuff. And
Well, again, as you and I discussed earlier, maybe the public should hear this as well. Going to be meeting on Thursday with Town Council and the Director of Inspectional Services, who is the Code Enforcement Officer, to go over and make sure that we have a current working definition of what a junk dealer is. Right now, it appears we've cast a fairly wide net, and before we go ahead and proceed on the basis that there is such a wide net, which would probably drive us in the direction of wanting to approve such a thing at town meeting, we need to know exactly what the current status is, how the enforcement would take place, and I think we owe it to our Director of Inspectional Services to have those matters ironed out before we send them out there with cease and desist letters to a whole bunch of businesses.
Yeah, part of my concern is that we talked about, basically changing the definitions or cleaning up the definition, but it's not in the warrant article per se as of now. We talked about maybe doing it as a policy, but my understanding is we can't do it as a policy. So there is a possibility this may have to get postponed until the fall if this isn't going to be clear. I don't want to put something in place that is going to cause more trouble, because it's not clear and not right. I'm just concerned, just so the board knows that I just have some issues, and the way it's set up right now with 25 licenses,
Well, we don't need to vote on it yet.
no, we don't,
No,
but
we
don't.
I want to make sure we do this right.
Well, I'm proceeding on the assumption that by Thursday we'll have a working definition for the board,
Can I ask the
so
moderator
we
a
can
question?
proceed.
Where we've already filed this particular article is, we put this in and voted to put it on the warrant, but if we're going to have to add some more to it, is that going to be allowed or not?
Depends on what you're adding to it. You can't add to, you can subtract from.
Well, we're going to have to,
Anything you add to makes it out of scope.
that's the
I
issue
think
I
you-
have.
I think you want to take a very good, close look at your zoning bylaws. I spent a great deal of time today.
Yep.
There is a definition of junkyards, and I think you want to take a very close look on Thursday.
We will, because again, Mr. Moore looked at it and stuff, and he had some issues for enforcement, et cetera, and I think this is, I think we're rushing, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, how about the regular articles now? Capital plan, we're still holding. Budget, we're still holding. Enterprise fund, we must be holding as part of the budget.
Any of the budget articles.
Yeah, Oakdale Playground, we already voted on that,
That
didn't
was
we?
moved over
Oh,
to
that's
the
right, we
other.
No,
moved
that's
it
being
over.
removed.
Yeah, I forgot to take it off, okay.
And the other one's Bashant Way, we can't vote on, so we
Alright.
have to, so we're done,
So we're
as
done
far
with
as
that.
we can go.
Do you know where that is with? Do you know where that is with planning?
It's actually not with planning, it's with the actual homeowners on Bashant and Lynn Road, because they have to get the road fixed and some other things. Until that's done, planning can't give us a recommendation.
Okay, so, but they're,
Everything's in place, it's just,
right,
with the, the weather's finally turned, so hopefully they can get started working on it.
okay. Have you heard from those homeowners as to what
I'm-
progress they've made getting a contractor?
I'm in touch with them all the time,
Yeah,
because this is, unfortunately, this will be the fourth town meeting we're trying to get this done for.
right.
Okay, next up, we're going to approve the commitment, the omitted commitment for FY 15 for the sewer users. I move we approve the second half omitted commitment of the FY 15 sewer user fee in the amount of $1,688.76.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Okay, discussion and possible vote of the senior work-off program.
This is just something for the public, so they, again, make sure that we're transparent and clear on the program. Usually it just gets slid in and nobody knows what it is. It's basically, I believe we're going ahead. The dollar amount, Derek, is $17,500 is what we have available.
Yeah, 17,500.
And the max is $500
So
per
it'd be,
person qualified by needs first.
correct.
Okay? Just so the public knows that if you haven't applied, is Susan still handling this, or is this being pushed off to somebody else?
No, this works out of, the Pam out of the COA.
COA is going to handle it now?
Yeah, and the, it's not just needs first, the people need to be able to work
Yes.
as well. That's what the people need
Oh,
to
they have to be
understand.
capable as well. as
Correct.
needs.
They also, there's a Corey requirement, there's a fairly substantial package, including ethics training,
Yes.
Yeah.
confidentiality agreement,
Some of the people, are the same people
hold
who
harmless
don't,
an indemnity clause, so it's not just saying, yeah, I'll do it. It's an application that
Yes.
is then moved on.
I would ask that, since we have two of the three newspapers here, if they could at least put in the paper that they have to go over to the Council on Aging and the Multi-Service Center and see Pam Dudley to do the application process.
Yeah, and I think it will be starting, we thought maybe Thursday, but starting next week,
Why don't we
Monday will be
put a
available.
date of starting as of Monday, April 6th, if we could, please. Thank you both.
All right. Next up, any other
Did we
town
vote
business
on
not reasonably anticipated?
Hold on a
Oh, you want to
Did we
vote on
vote
that?
on
Yeah.
Yeah, we should just vote to approve the senior work.
All right,
Just-
move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
All right, any other town business not reasonably anticipated last 48 hours? Mr. Titlebaum.
None?
Mrs. Whiteside.
I wouldn't dare bring it.
Nothing for me?
No.
Okay. How about the town administrator, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Next, authorization to sign bills. I have one bill this evening. You guys, I'm sure you saw it, and it was sent out. It's for March. It's for Richard Bowen in the amount of $15,000. I move we approve the $15,000.
Second.
Second, and I also would like to point out that he's working at about 27 cents an hour.
Pretty close.
It's, you know, well,
How many hours this week?
it's 125.7 hours for $15,000.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Legal fees are.
I would charge you more.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Titlebaum. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
All right, next up, I move we approve the minutes of the regular Selectmen Sewers Commission meeting as amended by the English teacher for March the 10th, 2015.
I have to say that,
Second.
yeah, these,
Okay.
no,
It's all right. Go ahead.
I mean, you know, if you're not going to read them, don't read them, but these are the records that the public goes back to, and one of the mistakes was, you know, a unanimous vote with nobody moving, nobody seconding it. You know, I'm a picky person, but
Yeah. What happens sometimes, unfortunately, is they're working off the disc from Mr. White, and when they sit and put it on the machine and listen to it,
They miss a piece, they
it's
can't hear.
hard, they can't hear.
I understand, and that's why regularly I will say to somebody, could you please identify yourself for the record? Not,
That's
I mean,
what-
you and I know who they are, but
Well,
the people
just-
who are
Yeah.
doing that, but
Well, that's why I try and do,
Yeah.
do our motions. I
Just
mention
so
who
you
they
know,
are.
I go through all of these minutes, okay?
Yeah, I'll do.
And I go through every single one for content.
well, you
and-
couldn't have did that one for content.
Well, I just happened to miss that, okay? It's possible to miss something. But I've been doing these almost, for a year now,
Yes, dear.
and there hasn't been any issue as far as content's concerned. Now, as far as spelling goes, which you've caught on, you know, 4 or 5 occasions,
There's one here.
well, there's gonna be some spelling errors. You know, myself, I'm not an English
Smelling
teacher.
errors?
Spelling. errors. I said
Especially
spelling
when it
errors.
comes to flags, smelling flag.
The point is that, the girls do the best they can. We
Women.
try to catch them the best we can.
Women.
But by and large, it's a pretty good job. They do a
Oh,
pretty
no, they
nice
do a
job.
good job. I'm just saying that I am pickier than you guys.
Anyway, so there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, there is.
So if you get Whiteside's vote to approve the minutes, you know they're gold.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano.
Second.
Second by Mr. Titlebaum. All questions are done and over with. The kids are all set now?
The kids are set.
Everybody's on the same page?
Girls and boys are done.
Okay, just checking. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 400.
All right, town administrators report, please.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
This is the sticker for the Onset Village Parking Program.
Now, if your window is really small, you can put it right on the trunk.
Yes, I should call it a rendition. Clearly, it will not be this big.
Oh, won't be
but
that
this-
big? Wow.
It is $10 for the resident parking sticker. Anyone who has purchased the resident parking sticker can purchase up to 4 visitor placards for $5 each, and then the 24-hour guest pass is free.
This is all going to be on the town website, right?
Correct. Well, this is going to be the parkwareham.com,
.com.
which
Okay.
also on there will be the rest of the permit fees for such as the beach and dump and everything on there. So we're really trying to make that a comprehensive one.
And the parking fee for us, that's reduced dollar amount, isn't it?
That is,
also?
it's no longer part of the combined sticker. That was one of the biggest complaints we had. So we removed it from the combined sticker and made it just the $10. So if people don't need the dump sticker and such, now they can go out and get it and do whatever they want. So we've reduced that.
So this is basically, this is edition number 3
Yes.
in the program. As we told everybody, this was going to be a long-term work in progress to figure it all out. And again, want to repeat for the newspapers thing, put in what the website is so people look at.
Yeah, www.parkwareham.com. We should have that up and running very soon.
Yeah, Gary said he was working on it.
And I believe we should be getting these stickers in this week, so they'll be eligible to purchase them on next. It should be Monday as well. They'll be sold out of the Harbor Master's office. That is in this building, the multi-service center, so that's open 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We're looking to see if we can do some expanded hours during June to have it open some Saturdays for persons just during June. We're down on the pier. You should still be able to get, I'll double check on this, the 24-hour guest pass. However, we had issues of people abusing the sticker, purchasing it here and then purchasing another one down on the pier when the books weren't able to be updated right away. So unfortunately, because of the abusers, we've had to cancel selling them down at the pier. But again, we will try and make it as uncomplicated as possible. And the town hall 4-day work week does not affect this, as the harbor master's office is out of this building.
And the effective date for the program?
You're going to catch me on that one right now. I don't have it written down. I thought it was May 1st on
May
it.
1st,
Yeah,
October 15th approximately.
yeah. All right.
And people should check on that also, because the hours, there's certain hours when certain areas shut off.
We have the assessment for the fiscal year 16, the Veterans District Assessment. It has gone down slightly to $22,426.12. And that's based off of the Department of Revenue, the EQV, so the equalized valuation, and as approved by the District Board of Town Managers and Administrators. It should be known that with these, we are combined with Barnstable, Bourne, Brewster, Chatham, Dennis, Eastham, Harwich, Provincetown, Mashpee, Orleans, Sandwich, Truro, Wellfleet, and Yarmouth. However, I guess the tough news is that the veterans' benefits, the benefits we pay out, are going up a little bit over $63,000 to $365,000 total, and our total assessment will be over $387,000.
Are they still way behind on payments on that?
We are reimbursed to 75% through the cherry sheet, and this is the first year that they've started bringing it up into the right area.
Okay.
And the parking program is May 1st through October 31st.
Oh, you extended it
Yeah.
further. Okay, so,
So,
good enough.
so that's the veterans. April 9th, myself and the finance director Foster, we will be attending a meeting with the Mayflower Municipal Health Insurance Group regarding the rates to get the sort of the final numbers on there. So I will advise the board after that.
Great.
I was forwarded an interesting article by WCVB, which was the Mass towns with the lowest property tax bills. Wareham, they had the bottom 50, if you will. Wareham ranked number 2. We were the second lowest community with the property tax rates. And I know there's always a question about fire districts, and some of the other communities have fire districts and such. So what I did was I took the assessments for the Wareham Onset Fire District, and then their rates. So Wareham Fire District is $2.03 per thousand, and Onset's is $2.66 per thousand, and gave a weighted average on it versus with their tax levy base, which gave a weighted value of $2.18 per thousand. So when I put that on there, it brought the taxes from $2,582 of the average single family to $3,091, and boosts us up to the 15th lowest in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So just, I know there's always a question with those paying for the fire district, so it didn't even bring us out of the lowest 20.
That actually puts us, if you look at the rates they do for the 351 communities, usually we're number 311 or 321. So we're actually even lower.
Yeah. So with the increases other communities have experienced, we're dropping down.
More fighting with the state on revenue.
That's
That it?
That's it. That's the good notes.
Liaison reports, Mr. Titlebaum.
I don't believe I have anything.
Mrs. Whiteside.
No longer, thank you.
Okay, all I have is you guys asked me to go to the meeting for that sign Wednesday, and I went there, and it had been put off until the 22nd.
We'll need to
I
go
guess
back
they
again.
only had 3 members there, and they were missing 2 members, so.
Did you go again?
Yeah, I'll go again on the 22nd.
Yeah.
We gotta try to really do something about that, because it sounds like it's not gonna be a good outcome for us or the town. And I don't understand the reasoning behind it. There's already a sign out there. All it's gonna do is beautify the sign. It's gonna save a lot of mess. It's going to add some money to our much-needed coffers. And at the same instance, it's gonna be a billboard for the town to use in some aspects too. And I just can't see anybody voting for that, and the reasons I've heard so far are not reasons that I like, just because, kind of reasons. So I'm a little concerned, and I'm not happy about it. And, part of the reason for the whole bylaw, which, I really didn't agree with, as you all know, is for this sign, for these kinds of signs to be permitted and to have restrictions and so on and so forth on them. And I don't see why we can't use what they gave us to make this work. And it just doesn't make sense to me, and I think I'm extremely unhappy. I hope it doesn't go the way that it sounds, but we'll fight it the best we can.
Yeah, one of the,
That's it.
and I'm sorry to interrupt, but one of the things that I envision up there is for town meeting, for our major events, showing the.
Yeah.
You can even see the Wareham Scholar of the Month on there. Can you imagine being a parent, seeing your child up there? I think it would be amazing. It's also for public safety, the Amber Alerts we'd be allowed to put up there.
Everything.
It's, besides the revenue it brings in, it's really something that'll benefit the community. So,
And it already exists.
Correct.
And as a matter of fact, it exists in not such a good form as it does right now. I mean, I don't know if I've seen it when the sign had come down. I mean, they leave them up. Usually they're 1 month at a time or whatever, but they get to the end, and don't forget, they've stuck them up not permanently because they take them down and put the next ones. And the sign's hanging down, and they have eventually they come out, but by then it's blown all over the place. This won't happen anymore. None of that will happen. It'll be clean, it'll be crisp, the edges will look nice, it won't have that ugly metal that's there and all that. And I saw one, I got to see one much bigger than that one. Ours is much smaller, but much bigger than that one on Route 24 when you're headed towards the highway up there on the left-hand side. And that thing is crisp and clean and beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, really, compared to what used to be up there, I mean, it's heads and tails.
maybe I can help out by saying my face won't be on it at all.
No.
We hope
Well,
not.
you don't know that for sure.
No,
That's not my plan.
no, you'll be in the post
You're not
office on a
planning
wanted
on
poster.
But you don't know what we might have in mind. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah, wanted.
So that's all I have. Okay.
Okay.
You're up, Mr. Chairman.
We would ask Mr. Sullivan to again ask Chief Walsh if he's available or a suitable officer to be at that particular sign meeting. I'd also reach out to both the Onset and Wareham fire departments, because they both were very much in favor of having that sign put in there. And if we have to, again, I'd ask the town administrator to write a letter, as well as the board supporting us.
Yeah.
I've got just a couple things. I got a call today from the State House. Lieutenant Governor has some issues that have come up. The meeting with the Lieutenant Governor with, I hope I remember everybody, Lakeville, Middleborough, Carver, Rochester, Bourne, Marion, Mattapoisett, I probably missed somebody in that group there, and Wareham will be meeting on May 14th, not April 16th. It'll be May 14th at 10 o'clock here at the Wareham Town Hall. And that will be for those towns to sit with the Lieutenant Governor and discuss all their different issues, with budgets, with revenues, mandates, almost anything we can think of that we have issues with that doesn't work for us anymore. And typical of, school reimbursements, Chapter 90, Chapter 70, everything. I've already sent a list out ahead of time to everybody for discussion purposes. It will be there. The public really can't participate, but people hopefully will come and listen. And that's what we plan to do there. I got a call today also from Senator Pacheco's office on the sewer bill that's been pending there. And I have to get back to them because I wasn't able to get a hold of Kyle there. They're trying a different way of pushing that bill through because it's a home rule, what we call a home rule charter petition. And normally those things are supposed to go through right away, but the House and Senate have never passed the law to do that. And they're trying to do it in a different way. I'll give you more information hopefully next week when I find out what the deal is. But I think there's something moving on that now. I've given them a date of May 1st that we have to have this done by, so we'll see what happens. And that's all I got.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All in favor? Opposed, abstained, 4-0-0. Good night, Wareham.